Yeah, you are audible. If
Yes,
you
sir.
are ready, I will start the live stream in YouTube.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can
Okay,
start.
just a minute. You can start the class.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So today we are going to discuss about different cold crops. Based on the time limitation, we'll complete the number of crops. And firstly, the most important cold crop, that is cabbage, the scientific name Brassica oleracea variety capitata, and the chromosome number being 2n equals to 18. We know that it belongs to the family Cruciferae, and the cultivated group is capitata. That's the reason why we have this variety capitata here, and the origin is Mediterranean region. So all the cold crops, the most important cold crops, will have the chromosome number 18 only, and origin is also Mediterranean region, but still we'll see crop wise in the coming up slides. Mm. So nextly, cabbage, we all know that it is a most important temperate vegetable, and it occupies fourth position among the vegetables in India. So it is the fourth important vegetable. Nextly, the original type was actually a non-heading type, which later evolved as to be an heading type. So now what the cabbage head we have is actually the, it was initially a non-heading type, which later on with the time, with the evolution, it has formed a head. So here we see the non-heading type of cabbage, so which was the initial or primitive type of cabbage that we had. Nextly, the Brassica U triangle. This is very, very important because this is because of this particular crossing nature, or this breed outcrossing nature only, we have got the different Brassicaceae family members, or the cauliflower, cabbage, mustard, whatever we are eating today, they have evolved. So here you can see this triangle shows like every the vertex, every vertex of the triangle.
Roshni, you are muted. Roshni?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Suddenly,
Okay.
like I was made to host, so it got.
It's okay. It's okay. Carry on.
Triangle, yes, this is the way how the different species that are edible today have evolved. So in this, the Brassica niger, which is represented by capital B, you have to remember like the scientific name, and also the genomic constitution, which is represented by here capital B, and to any, not in terms of JRF but in terms of SRF, this is very important that you have to remember. And Brassica niger is nothing but the black mustard. And when black mustard was crossed with the Brassica oleracea, the CC represented, genomically constitution represented as CC, was 2n equals to 2x equals to 18. So when the 16 and 18 got crossed, it became 2n equals to 4x equals to 34. That is Brassica carinata, which is nothing but the Ethiopian mustard. So in this Brassica oleracea, we have this cabbage, kale, Brussels sprout, broccoli, cauliflower. So we have Brassica oleracea variety capitata. So nextly, again, on the other side, when this oleracea and the campestris was crossed with AA, then we got the AACC constitution with 2n equals to 4x equals to 38, which is nothing but Brassica napus, the Swedes or the rapeseed. Nextly, when Brassica niger and campestris were crossed, we got the Brassica gentiana, which has a constitution of AABB, which is 2n equals to 4x equals to again 36. So you need to remember the constitutions also, like it is AABB, it is AABBCC. So everything is very important. The chromosome number is important, and under the group, what are the vegetables that come. So Brassica oleracea is most we all read, so you will remember cabbage, kale, that's all. But the other things also, like the black mustard and this Chinese cabbage and turnip, come under campestris group. These have to be remembered by you. Southern and eastern coastal areas of the India. But now, because of the evolution of heat tolerant varieties, the different F1 hybrids having many characteristics that are that make them more adaptable to our conditions, the subtropical and the non-traditional areas. So we have this cabbage cultivation even in the southern parts of the country, where the temperatures are not so very cold, but there also we now have started growing. So the top 10 cabbage producing countries, this is a very old data, but with time we have recent data which which we can read just before the exam. 1 month before the exam will be enough. And coming to the area and production, mostly the West Bengal, Orissa, and Bihar are the leading cabbage producing states. I'll not go with the numbers because they are not important for the exam. First point, because nobody is in specific going to ask you about the area and production of a particular crop. They will ask you a set like horticulture, agriculture, like that. So nobody is going to ask you. But yeah, this can be asked, like leading producer of a particular vegetable. Yes, they will ask. Not the productivity, but the production and area they will ask. Next, leading cabbage producing state have been here pictorially represented. Nextly, about when we come, so here you can see the cabbage plant, the botanical description. So it is a leaf sheets that are surrounded to the head. So it has evolved. Initially it was a leafy one which has evolved to a head. So here it is the leaf sheets that are enveloping the head. These are compactly packed leaves that actually form a head. Nextly, so the roots are adventitious roots and the stem is unbranched. So on the stem, this I'll go to the this stem on this particular stem is there. In this, leaf sheets have evolved. These leaf sheets are so compactly packed that it gives us an appearance of a head. So this stem is actually, see, it is not branched, and the roots are adventitious in nature. So nextly, leaves arise from the growing point, and the outer leaves are generally loose and generally white in color, whereas the inner leaves, which are very strong, which are very compact, and they form a head-like shape and are mostly dark green in color. And it is head is formed by a overlapping of numerous leaves developing over the growing point. So on the short stem, there are the growing leaves. Coming to the floral biology, a typical Brassicaceae flower, that is inflorescence being a terminal raceme, flower being perfect, and hypogynous, that is inferior. And nextly, 4 sepals, 4 petals, that is Solanaceae, 5 petals, 5 sepals. But here we have 5 stamens, 5 anthers. It is typical feature of Solanaceae family. Whereas for Brassicaceae, you have 4 sepals, 4 petals, and very important,
So I think there might be a network problem. Let me. Roshni, you are there?
yes, Dilip, I'm there, Dilip. I was not audible this long.
Okay. Yeah, you are not audible, and your screen is also not visible.
Okay, now?
Yeah, now it started. You can continue.
This was the slide which you last heard, right?
Yeah, I think the previous one.
Oh, okay, this was also not heard.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yes, this at least?
Yeah, at the end of this. Yeah, you can continue from this.
Okay, this was the head was formed by the overlapping of numerous leaves, so which we have already discussed, but this is the growing stem which is unbranched, and from this numerous leaves arise which become very compact that we have the head shape to it. Nextly, the very typical Brassicaceae family floral biology with 4 sepals, 4 stamens, and tetradynamous nature means 6 stamens in which 4 are long and 2 are short. Anther is bilobed, and it is a almost all except the cucurbitaceae, everybody is having superior ovary only. And the fruit is siliqua having 4 to 20 seeds. So siliqua, all the Brassicaceae members fruit is called as siliqua, and it has 4 to 20 seeds. Nextly, we have, this is the cabbage inflorescence and the cabbage fruit or the siliqua. So here we see that it is highly a cross-pollinated crop. Why? Because of its protogynous nature, because females come early to mature, they mature early, so they have this protogynous nature than the male ones. So the crossing percentage is 73%. With 73% of cross pollination, and the cross pollination is mainly also due to self incompatibility. There are different mechanisms that promote outcrossing, and in cabbage we have protogyny also and self incompatibility. Self incompatibility is a very important system when it comes to cole crops, which we will discuss in different classes. And protogyny is very conspicuous in cabbage, means it is very prominent that the stigma remains receptive for 5 days before the anthesis. 5 days is a very long time. Actually, even 5 hours is enough that the cross pollination can occur. So it remains receptive for 5 days before the anthesis itself. And the cytoplasmic and genetic male sterility is also noticed in the certain lines. It's not very popular or commercialized, this CMS and GMS, but it is also available in certain lines. So this is the reason why we have the more cross pollination in the cole crops. The first one is protogyny nature, self incompatibility, and also the male sterility being observed in some of the lines. Nextly, we all know the uses that it is used for drying, pickling, canning, and all kind of things. That's not important for us. And the most important is the fermented product that is prepared from cabbage, that is sauerkraut, and it is rich source of vitamin K, C, and A. So vitamin K is very important, and as mentioned, C, wherever C is there, you have to remember that C. And because it's green in color, it will be rich in vitamin A. The product prepared is sauerkraut. So here we see the images of sauerkraut and the salads that are generally prepared. And even cabbage is dehydrated to make it into chips. And we have the pickle. Pickle is made from every product, and cabbage can also be called as a superfood because of the presence of because it's very rich in vitamin B, pantothenic acid, and iron, manganese, and all kind of things. Here we have the nutrient composition of cabbage, which you need not remember. We just try to see that vitamin C content is more, so you'll remember that. Vitamin A, so only those which are important you can remember. Zinc content, that kind of things, and others you can leave. So when coming to health benefits, we all know that health benefits, they generally won't ask you an exam point of view, but the most important point is eye disorders and Alzheimer's disease. You can remember these two, eye disorders and Alzheimer's disease. Others are general context thing, stomach ulcers, constipation, skin disorder. All these actually come in many crops serve the same purpose. So you need not remember them because vitamin C is rich. So you have to remember scurvy here. And nextly, eye disorders and Alzheimer's disease, you remember, that will be enough. So medicinal value, so indole 3-carbinol, which protects against bowel cancer, is the most important compound. And it's also used an antidote in the poisonous mushrooms. So if anybody has got has eaten a poisonous mushroom, then you can use the medicinal value of cabbage because of the presence of indole 3-carbinol. It is used against bowel cancer as well. So when we come to the classification, as I have already mentioned, in case of written exams, when you're going and especially when it comes to NET and ARS kind of things, you have to remember in specific the vegetable classifications. And in among the classification of cabbage, we have based on color, that is white cabbage, Capitata variety alba, red cabbage, Capitata variety rubra, and Savoy cabbage, Capitata variety sabudana. Amuda. So here we have the white cabbage, that is nothing but the normal cabbage that we consume. Red cabbage, this is mostly available in all supermarkets, and if you're working in your university, some of the universities may also be growing this red cabbage. And the Savoy cabbage, which we do not grow because of its low temperature requirement, and you can see it's more crinkled than the normal cabbage. So white cabbage are smooth, dark to pale green color and most commonly used ones, whereas the red cabbage are generally smooth and are red in color and used in pickling and other purposes, example being the red acre, red stock, round red Dutch. So all these have the name red in that, so that's very easy that you can remember them. And nextly, you have to remember the varieties of red cabbage, because others are generally white cabbage only. So at least 2-3 varieties, so that you can identify them in the exam, you have to remember them. And nextly, Savoy cabbage, which I have already mentioned, is crinkled and curly leaves with mild flavor and tender texture, that it's very crisp also. So example is Perfection and Drumhead Savoy. Nextly, types of cabbage. So we have, based on the shape, we have round, drum, and pointed. And generally, the round head comes to maturity early compared to pointed and drum. So drums are generally last. The bigger the size, the longer the time it takes to develop. You can remember like that. So generally, we have in white cabbage. This classification is in white cabbage. So that is round, drum, and pointed head. So here we see the round head, which is completely round, and normally we see in the market. Drum head is generally flat, means this head portion, this is little longer, little flat, and this is the pointed head or conical. Next, we based on the maturity, so early we have example Golden Acre and Pusa Mukta. Mid season is Pusa Drumhead, Pride of India, and Succession all season. Badger Shipper is resistant to strains of clubroot. So for clubroot you have Badger Shipper, and late season variety is late drumhead, large late drumhead, and September. Most of them are flathead, and Pusa drumhead is tolerant to black leg disease. You have to remember all these varieties with important characteristics. And nextly, here you don't have any options. And nextly, as already mentioned, that if it is round shape, it will mature early, then the pointed, and then the late ones will be the drumhead ones. So here you can see the stages of development of cabbage, which can be divided as the first stage being before the germination, and rapid growth and development being observed in the third stage of the crop growth period. Next, here we see the rosetting. You can see here a rosette growth, means all the club shaped growth, and here you see the head forming. So here the head is very small, it is like a button inside, and here we in head we have a big head that is formed. This is the inflorescence, and this stalk initiation, it's small, it starts and it grows very long, and the flowers develop like this. So coming to the varietal description, we'll see what are the important varieties here. So Copenhagen Market, which is an early variety, that's the reason it is round in shape. So it will be early variety. So it has small core and a large size, and the stem is very short. So this all you need not remember, but you have to remember Copenhagen Market is a early variety. Drumhead Savoy, its name is Savoy, so it will be very crinkled in nature, and because it has drum, so it can be a little late variety also. It has a superior quality, but is not commercially acceptable in our country because of this particular crinkled nature of it, and it is very dark green compared to other cabbages, like the white cabbage. Compared to the white cabbage, you can see that it is more green in color. It's more green in color, and because of the crinkled nature, it is not accepted. Next is Pusa Mukta, which is also an early variety, which has wavy margins. You can see it is a wavy margins, and this is resistant to black rot. You need not remember this for black rot. We have other varieties for black rot also, you can remember that, but it has wavy margins, and it is early season variety, it has to be remembered here. Golden Acre, which is a selection from the Copenhagen market, which is it is very heavy in size with 1.5 kg weight, and it is a early maturing one. Nextly, the baby cabbage, which is only 300 grams and can develop within 60 days. Because it's early, it will come up within 60 days. And strong tolerance to bolting. Obviously, it will be strong tolerant to bolting because its growth period is only 60 days. So it will be very early developing. It will not go to the bolting stage. It's a matter of common sense here that it is an early variety, so it will not bolt. It will be obviously tolerant, because by the time if you're growing it in September, October, if you're starting in August, you will end it by September, October. It will not reach that cold temperature that it will bolt. So because it is early maturing, and its size is also very less. So more nutrient absorption should be required. For if you give more nutrition also, bolting occurs. So here there is no chance that you will go for more nutrition or long time. If you leave it in the if you leave the cabbage for long time on the field itself also, then it will start bolting, because after the end of heading stage, next stage for it is to bolt. So it is early means it, common sense says that it will be mostly it will not bolt. Nextly, late flat Dutch premium cabbage. So with the duration of about 1.105 days. Why? Because it is flat headed, so it is a late cabbage, and you can see its size is very big also. Late means it has more time to grow, it has more time to accumulate the photosynthesis, it will grow more in size, and hence it will be very late to mature also, and it will gain more of the dry matter also. So the weight is 5.44 to 6.35. You need not remember the point after numbers, but 5 to 6 kg will be enough. These are sweet, little sweet kind of cabbage, because these are exotic, they are selections or exotic collections. So obviously European, we have already mentioned that high temperatures pungency increases, at low temperatures they are little mild to sweet. That's the reason the leaves are little sweet. Nextly, fast vantage hybrid. This you need not remember, but it is uniform and hence mostly used for sauerkraut preparation. You fast vantage hybrid, and it is not so important that you remember. And the Brunswick cabbage, which is a drumhead cabbage, and it can be grown throughout the year. It was introduced from Europe in the early 1920s. What things you have to remember when it comes to varieties, what are those varieties that are presently being prevailing in India? This particular variety has been brought and released in 1920s. Nobody is actually growing this. Then why should I remember this? Exam point of view, you can remember it is something that can be grown throughout the year, but you have to be very conscious that in your universities, in your research stations, or wherever you are, what are the common varieties that are being actually grown. You have to be, if you read some articles and all also, you'll see that only few varieties are again and again in all the papers. If you take tomato, in all the papers only few varieties will be repeating. So only few varieties or hybrids they will be using in their work. Why are only they used? Because they are commercially available or commercially exploited because of their successful production capacities. So you just need to remember those things. You need not hurry about what were released in 1800s, 1900s and all kind of things. That you need not remember them. If only in case they are very prevalent even till to date, then you have to remember them. And Pusa drumhead, which is a very important cultivar which is resistant to black leg. You have to remember here black leg. And the KGMR1 hybrid, that is black rot resistant and non-splitting habit. It has the KGMR1 hybrid, and others like Sri Ganesh Gold Nath 401. So these are Nandari seeds, and all BSS is Bisto something. Okay, so these are all private seed varieties. Why private cabbage coal crop hybrids are more prevalent than our national or the public sector cabbage? Because of the different mechanisms, we are not so interested in developing, and also the temperature climatic conditions are very big problem for us. These other private companies, what they do, they import seed from other countries where seed production is very easy. They will import the seeds, they will put their own label, and they will sell in India. It is no purpose for them whether they will perform well or not in our country. It is if the seed is sold, that is enough for them. But and still there are some very good private hybrids also prevailing. Some do like that, import the seed and sell, and some others actually develop the seeds as well. Some known varieties of cabbage private varieties are also available for us. And nextly, the varieties and the method of breeding that has been used. So the Golden Acre is an introduction, and Pusa Drumhead is a selection from EC774. And nextly, Pusa Mukta, which is an hybridization between EC 24855 into EC 10109. You need not remember these numbers, EC lines and all you need not remember. It's okay. And nextly, Pusa Ageti is a selection, and it's a tropical variety. Nextly, Pusa Sammand, which is a synthetic hybrid. What is a synthetic hybrid? What is a composite hybrid? And why synthetics are used in case of coal crops? It is very popular, synthetic and composite varieties. So you should know all this. It is not you are reading horticulture, JRF or SRF exam, you will only read vegetables and your task is done. It is not done. You have to be clear with the concepts. That's more important. No, I sit here and tell you that this is important, that is important. You read it, you go and exam. That's not going to help you. You have to be clear with the concept. When you're a master, when you're a doctoral in particular concept, you have to be worth of it. People should feel, yes, this fellow is worth of it. That's the reason why he's in this particular college. So nextly, so what is synthetics and composite? I hope you guys know. If you don't know, take your books, take BD Singh, take any other book that you find is comfortable for you to read and learn the basics first. And nextly, Copenhagen Market, which is also an introduction. Pride of India is an introduction, and September, Drumhead Savoy. So all the all these kind of fancy names or the foreign names are generally will be introductions. Introduction means from foreign country they will bring, and they will not directly release in India. After coming to India, they will be growing them, they will be going for selection, they will be going for multiple locational trials, and then they will be releasing it. So next is Red Acre, which is a red cabbage variety. So it is also an introduction. And KGMR1, which I have already discussed in the first slide, that is F1 hybrid. And this KTCBH81 is also, so they will have their own full forms for acronyms for this. Nextly, cabbage for all seasons. So there are some varieties, and specifically in some parts of the world, what they can do is they have varieties that you can grow all over the year. So for April to June, which can be harvested from November to January, they have the January King 3 and the Durham Early Grey Hound and Wingstud. So all these big private companies come with different packages so that they can attract the farmers, and here you can see that they can grow all over the year because the sowing time and the harvesting time are so continuous here. And nextly, coming to the cultivation, what is more important? The pH is more important here. If the optimum pH only, at optimum pH only, there is a good phosphorus availability for us. Then what is the optimum? So even the nutrition things you have to remember, at what alkaline soil what elements will not be available to the plant, at acidic soil conditions which nutrients will be available to the soil. So just saying vegetable or fruit, flori is not going to help you in exams. Next, the pH range is 6 to 6.5, and under saline conditions, the club rot, root rot is more prevalent in the plant. So under saline conditions, the club root rot is more. So therefore, we will go in slightly acidic pH of 6 to 6.5. Nextly, climatic conditions. So optimum temperature for Indian conditions. So 21 degrees is not going to be in European countries. It's for Indian conditions. It is 21 degrees. As I have already told you, whatever you read, ICR scientists are going to give you question paper, right? So they will give you only based on Indian conditions. So you have to remember that. Taking some foreign textbook, reading it and saying, "Arey, this is not asked in the exam," nobody is going to ask. Only ICR preferred exam textbooks questions only will be asked for you in exam. So it can also withstand extreme cold and frost, and relatively better than cauliflower. Because why? Cauliflower is actually an inflorescence, so flower are more susceptible. It's a reproductive part, so it is more susceptible to cold, whereas in cabbage it is leaf, so it is less susceptible to cold. That's a common sense point again. So the growth will be arrested if the temperature goes above 25 degrees Celsius, and it loses its flavor and the texture when the temperature rises or the weather is a little warmer. So these are all common sense points only. Whatsoever crop it is, matter of common sense and the overall understanding of the crop, the behavior is very important for you for learn easily. Next is somebody has asked me something. Just a second, we'll see. Oh my God. Okay. I'm not audible.
You're audible.
Somebody has messaged that I'm not audible. I've been audible continuously, right?
Yeah, you are audible. I think there is problem with their device.
Okay. Guys, Namrata, you can check your settings.
Ma'am, it was previous message.
Okay, so my internet is so good that it has come now. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so nextly, the temperature range is of 15 to 21 degrees Celsius is an ideal temperature range, with the optimum being for the seed germination of 12.8 to 15.8. You need not remember these 8 after the point numbers, but 12 to 15 or 13 to 16 is the range that you have to remember. The optimum temperature range being 15 to 21 degrees for the plant growth. And so here only plant growth temperature is enough. seed germination temperature is not important, but for carrot the seed germination temperature is also important. How do you know that that there it is important and here it is not important? It's just number of question papers that you do. That's the reason I tell anybody, do at least 500 bits or 400 to 500 bits every day. You will see the pattern of question. Oh, I'm reading like a buffalo, but actually the question will be asked like this. You understand the pattern of questions. This is the way the questions are made. This is the way the people expect us to answer. So you have to do number of questions every day. It's not that then you will get to know what is important and what is not. Just you are particularly dependent on one particular person that I have told, I have joined this particular academy. They'll tell me what is the important, what is not important. I'll read that, I'll give the exams. It is not going to work. It is your overall performance improvement, and we can just aid you in telling that you have to be like this. But the thing is, you have to read what is important. Nextly, seed rate. The seed rate being 200 to 600 grams, and if it is a hybrid, obviously it is high yielding and high performing, and it is also highly requiring. Like it is highly demanding. It will demand more of water. It will demand more of nutrients because it has heterosis, that is better performance over the parents, and it is more demanding than the other normal varieties or the cultivars or the local accessions. So hybrids, obviously the seed rate is also low, but the seed cost is also high. So 200 to 250 grams, and the late varieties are 400 to 500 because. And the early crop varieties, because they'll be very small in size, no, so you have to you can go for a lesser spacing also. Early varieties don't grow more, on they don't stay in field for longer time, so their accumulation is less, so their size is less, so you can reduce the what you call spacing also. If you reduce the spacing, more number of seeds also you can just sow in the area. So that is 500 to 600 grams. That's the reason you have to put your common sense in every point that you're learning. That's it. Nextly, nursery management. So we know that the seed treatment can be done with Captain, the spelling is wrong, Baveston and Thyram at the range of 3 grams per kg. And the nursery seedling bed size, this is the common bed size. If you take the basic horticulture book, you will see the basic bed size. That's the basic bed size. And nextly, to control the seed-borne diseases, because black rot, black leg, the club root rot, see, you can see all are actually mostly soil-borne diseases only we are observing here. So the seed treatment is very essential when it comes to crops like cabbage. So there you have to go for 50 degrees temperature for 30 minutes is beneficial. And sowing at the spacing of, if it is nursery bed, that's the reason the spacing is very less, that is 5 to 6 centimeters with 1.5 centimeters to 2 centimeters deep. And nextly, we can go in the hilly areas, and you can go for pro-tray cultivation, you can go for direct sowing, you can go for transplanting after the germination of 40 or 45 days. Nextly, what they do is, if it is so cold conditions, they will sow the seeds in the pro-trays. They will pile up the pro-trays one above the other, and after that they take a black color polythene sheet and they cover all the pro-trays, and they put some weight on it so that the heat is generated within, and the seeds germinate early in very low temperatures. They do this practice. So here you can see the pro-trays, and how you can see here the ball of earth with the in coco peat. You can see how well the seedling has come up. And for the field preparation, this is a very common field preparation practice. Leave it. Nextly, we will see the transplanting, which is done after 4 to 6 weeks after the field preparation. And nextly, the spacing, early cultivars will have less or close spacing of 45 into 45 centimeters, and late will have more, that is 45 into 60. And for in situ sowing, or when you are doing it in greenhouse conditions, then you go for 30 into 60 centimeters. Nextly, here is the cabbage. Coming to the nursery management, here you need not remember any of the nutrient requirements or anything else, but the only thing is cabbage is a heavy feeder of N and K. Common sense tells here, because it is completely a leaf is the edible part, and nitrogen is most important for vegetative growth. And nitrogen will be required. K is a quality maintenance element. So for the leaves to be crisp and to be sound, there is a requirement of K. So it is obviously a heavy feeder of N and K. And nextly, the head formation, for a better head formation to improve, 2% common sound solution is given. Actually, salt they recommend not to put in many crops. In very tree crops and all, if any problem comes, they go for salt application. It's very highly not recommended practice, but in case of this asparagus and this cabbage, generally 2% common salt solution is given. And nextly, even for asparagus, salt is recommended. Here also salt is recommended. And nextly, we have here The irrigation management. So irrigation, depending upon the environmental conditions, the weather prevailing there, you go manage the irrigation. That's not a big issue. And nextly, field capacity should vary from 60 to 100%, and irrigation should be given when the field capacity is less than 50%. Means in some question papers, if you see the Lakshmi Lal book, this is a bit irrigation to be given at the field capacity for cabbage. So that's the reason this point has come here. So whatever points I have mentioned in the PPTs would have been bits in some or the other objective question book that you have to know. In worst cases, in the worst papers, like you get these questions, generally they don't ask. And nextly, we have here the intercultural operations, normal practice of irrigation, weeding, mulching, earthing up, and blanching. Two important practices here are earthing up and blanching. So what is earthing up? Because the head will on a very small stem, so many leaves are forming, so there is a many chance that the head may break. So earthing up is an important cultural operation. We may think, earthing up is not important, what is there? Only for root crops, bulb crops it's important, but for cabbage also, like if somebody asks and you tell earthing up, there is a need of earthing up because the leaves become very heavy and the stem is very small. People will be impressed. Okay, this fellow has a common sense, a common knowledge of the crop. So earthing up is an important practice. And blanching, because the head is covering the head with its own leaves so that it can retain the green color. You know, the green it is, we feel it is fresh. The pale yellow, white cabbage, we feel, this is not fresh. We only don't buy in the market. So blanching is an important cultural practice. So when you when somebody asks you for cabbage, the answer should be earthing up and blanching being the important operations. Here it is mulching, we know. Blanching, so they cover it its own, see, the rubber band or something is put with its own leaves. So here we can see harvesting, which is done at 90 to 120 days after planting. It depends, actually 60, it starts from 60 to 80 days for early, and 80 to 100 days, and then finally 120 days for the late types. So we can cut with hand. We can, if you delay the harvest for a few days, there is a chance that the splitting of the head will occur because it has completed its vegetative phase. Now it will try to enter into its reproductive phase. So it will start, the head will start splitting. And in case it is not splitting, then you have a chance. You can take a small blade and give a cross cut on the head so that the stalk initiation is easier for you. And more flat the head is, the more the more flat the head is, the more chances is there that it will split and it will open. Now, that's the reason why early cultivars are late bolters. Why? It is round in shape. So for the small inflorescence to initiate and come out, it will take time. The flat it is, it has the late it is growing, and it has more chances of inflorescence to come up to bolt also. The flat heads have more chances to bolt than the late heads. Early heads. Next, the yield. The early varieties will obviously be less yielders because the size itself is very small. That is 25 to 30 tons per hectare. Late types of 40 to 60, and hybrids are 70 up to 70 tons yielders. And coming to post-harvest technology, so we know for handling and the complete chopping, even for onion, post-harvest technology was very important, where you have to take the onion, leave only 2.5 centimeters at the stem region, and then dry, cure it. So some crops have very important post-harvest practices, because the post-harvest practice is what it makes them to be marketable for a long time. It improves the staying capacity, whereas in tomato, in brinjal, you don't read it, it's not important. But for some crops like potato, onion, you have some post-harvest practices to be done very must and surely, that their shelf-life is improved. Nextly, here after that we have sorting, cleaning, and packaging, whatever packaging it is depending upon the market requirements. So harvested part should not be exposed to sun, because it's completely 94% of the cabbage is actually water, so it will become dehydrated and desiccated. So we have to be careful that the sun is not exposed. And grading, here also grades are there, but the grading in cabbage is not important, so very important, but you have to know that grading exists in cabbage also. Somebody is asking grading, and I have only read in spice and medicinal crops. I have not read in vegetables. And tomato, I have read grade A, grade B, but not in others. So here you have the grading, that is 2 to 4 kg grade 1, 1.1 to 2 kg for grade 2, grade 3 is more than 1 kg. Nextly, we have the sorting and here packaging depending upon the market requirement and the local mandis, how they have the cabbage. You can see here you have local transportation also and refrigerated transportation also observed. And for the before storage, you have to leave the head should be very tight, and they have to be wrapped by their own leaves. By the time it comes to you, you should have wrapper leaves just to protect the head. So it will be stored up to 3 to 6 weeks at optimum temperature of 0 degrees Celsius with 98% relative humidity. Very important temperature and the time of the storage. That is 3 to 6 weeks and 0 degrees Celsius and 98% RH. So this is, we have temporary storage and cold storage also available, where the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius and 98% relative humidity. So improper practices, if you do immature harvesting, it will be very withered, dark green, and very, saggy. The leaves will be looking very saggy. It will not be nice. And delayed harvesting will may invite the other pests and diseases. On the other hand, will be also cause the splitting and bursting of the head. Nextly, here we can see if you trim the cabbage, what happens? Directly the wrapper leaves are no wrapper leaves are there, and the head is exposed. So you will not have anything, because you have to remove the upper leaves again, and inside nothing will be remaining at the end. And here you can see a hollow head which is immature. So excessive application of nitrogen and irrigation, what happens? The internal parts don't grow. The head will be in a hurry to develop completely. In that hurry, internal portions remain hollow. So this is an hollow immature head, and this is nothing but physically damaged head. That's the reason why you have to have a wrapper leaf. And here you can see improper stalk cutting can also invite many fungal diseases. So proper head cutting is also important. Nextly, and also mechanical damages can occur, because you can see the direct, this is all importance of wrapper leaves actually. Next, we have methods of seed production, which I will not be dealing now. Coming to the physiological disorders, very important physiological disorders is, the first thing is bolting, occurring of bolting at very high temperatures or very extremely low temperatures. It occurs to bolt. Nextly, just a second. Nutrient deficiencies. So in case of nutrient deficiencies, nitrogen is, because it is a leaf is the edible part of cabbage, and nitrogen is very important. And yellowing of the old leaves, are not only old leaves but the young leaves yellowing, and improper curd development is the most important thing. If nitrogen is an important part for aerial or vegetative development, if it is not there, the vegetative growth won't be there. That is what you can see in the picture, and you have to go for the foliar spray of urea 1%. Nextly, and foliar sprays are actually very efficient than the band placement of the nutrients. Why? Because foliar you are directly giving to the leaf. It is direct absorption of the nutrients than the band placing of the nutrients, or drenching also, because it has to go to soil to root to plant. It has to translocate to a very long distance. So foliar application is more advisable when you have a crop to a certain stage. If it's very young, then you cannot go for foliar application, because the concentration will be very high. Then you have to drench. But here, when you have a particular amount of growth stage where 30 days, 45 days, 60 days is over, then obviously nutrient application through foliar spray is ideal. Nextly, phosphorus deficiency. So under phosphorus deficiency, you see the pigmentation in the leaves. You can see a reddish pinkish tinge on the leaves, and the quality also. So P is for quality, and the quality also detrimentally is reduced. So what you have to do, you have to go for the phosphorus application. So potassium. So already in the previous type, we have seen that nitrogen and potassium are important minerals for the proper development of the curd. So here, for appearance of first deficiency of even this is important. Nitrogen deficiency is first seen in older leaves, whereas sulfur is seen in the youngest leaves. So what is the purpose of the nutrient element? If you know, then you will understand why it is first showing in older leaves, why it is showing in the younger leaves. You have to first understand what is the mechanism, what is that nutrient actually giving the plant. That is the important thing. Potassium is something maintenance of quality. Nitrogen is something that is the reason why the plant is growing. That is the vegetative part. That's the reason it will show initially only from root only. So from those minerals which are translocated from root and have to go up to the top, then if they are not able to go, they are only translocate from root to shoot. It has to go. Then those elements will be first. You can see the deficiency symptoms in the tip of the plant. Why in the tip of the plant? Because it has to go from root to shoot. So it cannot move that long distance because of the deficiency. It does not have that much quantity of mineral to make it reach up to that top. That's the reason such minerals and such elements the plant will show in the top portion itself. But those minerals which are required for the basic requirements, or the basic fulfilling nutrients, will be shown in the older leaves itself. Matter of common sense, matter of reading things better, matter of understanding things better will only make you feel that the subject is also interesting. Okay, this is just a simple logic that we were missing. That's the thing you will get about the crop, and you will understand better and remember very easily. Try to read things and be in the subject, then it will be very interesting for you. And nextly, so the oldest leaves, the potassium will show the symptoms first, and the leaves become dull, and the leaf margins turn yellowish, and it will show withering. For that, you have to go for a foliar spray of K2SO4 at the rate of 1% twice weekly. And here you see it's a very old photo. The crinkling and the margins burning is a very typical symptom of potassium deficiency. Nextly, the calcium deficiency. Calcium is important for cell wall. It is a major component in the cell wall, cell development, and all kind of things. So next, that's the reason it will show the collapse of the cells. So collapse means it will show the scorching symptoms. It will show the browning symptoms. That's what you are seeing. And it is for cell development. No, if new cell have to form, it should have calcium. It's not forming new cells. So it will not have that. That's the reason there is no growth. The typical, the apical part, there is a collapse. So you have to put things, imagine, and you have to link the things with logic. That's it. So foliar spray of CaCl2 at the rate of 1%. And magnesium deficiency. So if you come to magnesium deficiency, the plants, again, it is a quality element which the plants show the stunting symptoms, and the foliar spray of MgCSO4 at the rate of 0.5 to 1% is enough. And sulfur, again, I have told you that it will show in the tips, younger regions. Why? Because it has to translocate it from the soil to the top. Like that, you have to remember things. And youngest leaves turn purplish, cupped, and upward edges are rolled in, and soil application of gypsum at the rate of 50 kg per hectare is recommended. For boron is also, again, translocation is a very big problem. That's the reason it will also show in the apical regions only. So the apical point will not be developed properly. Blistered and fluorosis, go for borax 0.5%. And copper, you see all these micro elements like 0.5 only, but whereas this major like nitrogen and other potassium were high in concentration. So what is its purpose? That will remind its concentration also. That's the reason you have to go with logic to the things, especially when this is physiological disorders, diseases, and so when some vectors are involved, there will be some logic behind the things. You have to just get into them. So I have come to copper, boron. So boron is also apical part only shows the apical part only shows the deficiency symptom, and then you have to go for borax 0.5%. Nextly, copper deficiency, again, it's a micronutrient, and that's the reason it is required in the concentration of 0.5%, and the symptoms occur in the young leaves only. And the head formation, here they have written curda. Okay, head formation is affected. Nextly, iron deficiency also FeSO4 0.5%, and it also occurs in the young leaves, and stunted growth is observed. All those minerals that are required for a proper leaf growth you can observe here, because here the continuous growth of the leaf which form a compact head is what we eat. That is the commercial point for us. So all those minerals that enhance the quality come into play here. That's why all those deficiencies are important in case of cabbage. Nextly, manganese, this is also shows in the young leaves. All the quality elements will come here. Molybdenum, very, very important, not in case of cabbage, but in case of cauliflower, because of the presence of whiptail disorder. So stunted growth and malformed leaves, because here no inflorescence is there. So here malformed leaves is the symptom that it shows. Nextly, zinc deficiency. All these, even for us also, like humans also, for quality maintenance, we have to have good zinc in our diet. So similarly here it is zinc deficiency, again affecting the quality in the young leaves. Coming to the pests and disease management, so the diamond black moth, Putella xylostella, is important major pest in case of cabbage, with the symptoms being small. The what do you call here, you can see that the leaves have been eaten, like this skeletonization of the leaves is the major symptom. They make holes in the leaves so that it is then it is not preferred in the market. So this can be done by the caterpillars which feed on the epidermal surface of the leaf. For this you can go for pheromone traps. So pheromone traps means you know that sexual traps means then who in pheromone traps, male is a trap or a female is a trap, you should know that. that. Male is put as a trap or a female is put as a trap. These are all things you have to know. I'm not pointing anybody, but I'm just telling you that you have to give your side effect. It is, you should not be dependent on the class. Taking weekly 1 class, 2 class, 3 class, 4 class, or weekly every day we take class also, you will not get rank. You will get the rank only when you read all the days of the week. So it's not the class, it's how much you read, how much if they have told me to tell vegetables, I will only tell vegetable. I will only read what is there in vegetable and go. You don't know what is a pheromone trap. You don't know what is put in a pheromone trap, a male or a female. So these are all the things you have to read. So I'm not pointing out anybody here, but I'm just want to tell you that you have to be very clear with your concepts. Then you have to, as if everything is done, everything you have read. It's not like that. And being completely dependent on the class is also not the purpose. Nextly, or else you can go for the neem seed kernel 5% extract or malathion 0.1% for the control of larvae. You can also go for the intercropping with mustard. Intercropping, crop rotation are important practices. And nextly, the cabbage butterfly, Pyrus brassicae. You see the yellow color beautiful butterflies you see everywhere. Actually, these beautiful butterflies, these are actually a major pest of cabbage which cause skeletonization. The small yellow butterflies, everybody might have seen this Pyrus brassicae. And nextly, for this you can go for trichogramma. So what is a parasitoid? What is trichogramma? What is trichoderma? What is trichoderma here? Which is a fungal biocontrol agent. Here it is a parasitoid. So you have to, just doing BSc, just doing MSc, PhD, these are all useless until you know the difference between what is trichogramma and trichoderma also. That is, I'm just wanting you to realize yourself what you are reading, what you are not reading, so that you will know that you have to. I'll not tell the difference. You take, or if anybody does not know, it is really very bad on your part. You have to take your textbooks and start reading it. Nextly, exertion of bird perches. So why bird perches? What is a bird perch? These are all not any new things that I'm telling in this coaching class. These are all the things that have been actually dealt in your BSc. These are BSc degree. All those crops actually have been taught you in BSc. They are giving an exam on all that you have read in your BSc or your MSc only. So better listen to your class, take out your notes properly, and take your notes and read them properly. Then you will say, Arey, these are all actually have been taught in the class. Taking a book Glosters, taking a book Instant, taking a book Tamburaj, and I could not get a rank is not the point. You have to listen to classes also. Nextly, here is the larva feeding on the leaf and the adult butterfly, and the damage it causes. It feeds on the epidermal tissues and it makes small holes on the cabbage. Next is the Helula undalis, head borer, because it bores into the head and it chews up all the internal portions, and we have holes, tunnels on the head, and it means it is inside hollow. Nobody is going to prefer that. So the larvae bore into the head and produces deformed heads. So you can use Bracon hebeter, a major parasitoid. What is the difference between parasitoid, egg parasitoid? You have to know all this. I don't know how many of you know. If you know, you put in group that you know, and you put the answers also. If you don't know, read the books and then come back with the answers. Next is you can go for malathion. Nextly, the damage by larva and how the head has been bored. You can see that it will bore and it will go inside and it will completely feed. So there is nothing inside the head. For this, next is cabbage aphid, that is Bryocornae brassicae. The plants are very stunted and poor head formation, and the severe cases the plants dries and dies off also. So it is a aphid. Generally there are many aphids, but in case of cabbage you have to, the scientific name is important, that is Bryocornae brassicae. Apis gossypiae is not the aphid that comes here. You have to remember. Nextly, you can go for the repeat the spray for overnight. What spray you have to go for? Dimethoate spray. And nextly, here we have aphid colonies. Which, if you turn the, if you don't see the leaf aphids on the surface, you just turn the leaf. You will see many aphids which are feeding on the under the side of the leaf, and they are sucking pests, so they will suck the complete sap. Oh, nothing will be left. There is no. If they completely suck the juicy part, the leaves will be dry, crinkled, and very deformed. Next is semi-looper, the Trichoplusiani. So this Trichoplusiani also is a semi-looper which feeds. So loopers, we all know how it feeds and how it moves. The movement of the looper, it's a very beautiful way it has its locomotion. And you go for 0.1% malathion. Here you can see how beautifully it is going and how it has tunneled, completely made holes by eating the leaves. Nextly, the diseases, blackleg, most important disease, the Phoma lingam. The plant shows, you can see here that the stem region has been completely damaged, it is something that affects the root system from bottom to upwards. It moves from the lower side to the upwards, causing the damage to the plant. So the scientific name is Fomalingam. Control is the seed treatment. As cabbage, I have already told, most of the diseases are from soil only. So go for a good seed treatment and soil treatment. For seed, you go for 50 degrees for 30 minutes. And clubroot disease, that is Plasmodiaphora brassicae. Clubroot disease also we have already says, and the saline soils, the clubroot can increase, the cause of clubroot can increase. So galls in the roots are formed. It is like clubbing of the root. Galls in the roots, like extra, what you call hypertrophy is observed. Yes, hypertrophy is observed. Unwanted cell growth is observed on the roots, and bulging of the roots is observed. For that, Vapum treatment of the seed bed, that is a kind of fumigation, is done for the soil. So because it's a soil borne disease, or hydrating with the lime so as to improve the soil condition. Why lime? For acidic soils you put lime, then so as to make it to the normal neutral temperature, neutral pH. So pre-planting and dipping you can also do with carbendazim 0.05%. These control and all you need not remember. Carbendazim 0.05%, these are all not important. You have to remember the disease, how the disease actually comes. It is soil borne. Okay, soil management practices and all. Chemicals are same for any soil management, you go with the same chemical. For any seed management, you go with the same chemical, and the chemicals may change with time, but those which won't change is the disease, the symptoms, they won't change. No, you have to remember those things, stable things, standardized things you have to remember. And nextly, damping of Pythium ephanodermatum, which is a very common disease, which you can see in any nursery disease in any crop, and here which kills the seedlings. Because water soaked seedlings become water soaked and they damp. The symptoms you can see here in the collar region, the damping can be observed here. That's the reason why they damp off, means they fall off, because the collar region is affected. So go for raised beds, well drenching. Here Trichoderma viridae has come. Trichoderma viridae seed treatment. There I have told trichogramma. What is the difference? You have to learn by yourself, and let me know in the group. If somebody is so good and clear, they can tell in the group what is the answer. And soil drenching with Dithane M45 can also be done. Nextly, the downy mildew, Peronospora parasitica, downy mildew, and here the purplish browns, means underneath the leaf surface you will have the purplish brown spots observed, and on the upper surface the chlorotic regions, means the upper surface it will become yellow color and tanned, but the lower surface you'll see purplish brown color formation. So the stem also becomes brownish in color, and the yield dramatically reduces because the leaf has already been affected. If the leaf is affected, no photosynthesis, means the yield is affected. For this also again seed treatment with 50 degrees for 30 minutes. So here you can see the downy mildew symptoms. On the upper surface it is yellow and brown, but when you turn the leaf it is purplish color in the lower surface. And so with this I have completed cabbage. Already somebody is ready for the next class on the other side. We will cover the other cole crops slowly. You guys read neatly whatever is available to you, and not only vegetables. In exam nobody is going to ask you only vegetables, only fruits, only flowers. They are going to ask you complete horticulture. The complete basic knowledge of horticulture is required. Read proper soil management and proper nutrient management and all kind of things. They are also going to be asked in the exam. If you have any doubts, you can just ask me. I hope I was audible all through. Yes. Anybody, any doubts? I was audible, at least.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. This class link will be shared, and by today evening, all those classes that I have covered, I will be sharing the notes in the WhatsApp group itself. You can read that notes, and being just dependent on the notes and class is something, don't expect any rank in that case. Read by yourself, have a complete knowledge of horticulture crops, because you are writing an exam on horticulture crops. Complete basic knowledge is very much required. Okay, then I'll end up the class here. You can, if you have any doubts, you can ask anytime in the group. Okay, thank you guys. Bye.